In North Africa, the growing Islamic empire gathers strength, converting large numbers of indigenous tribesmen called Imaziran, or as the Greeks named them, Berbers. By converting, the Berbers become part of the growing Islamic empire and are therefore provided protection. The Berber warriors proved useful in Islam's expansion as Arab leaders set their sights on the now vulnerable Visigoth kingdom of Spain. A young, newly converted Berber warrior named Tariq Ibn Ziyad leads 7,000 men in an invasion of the Iberian Peninsula. In 711, almost 100 years after its birth, Islam has crossed the narrow 8-mile Strait of Gibraltar that separates North Africa from the lands of Europe. In southern Spain, Tariq Ibn Ziyad and his men face the Visigoth king Rodrigo at the Battle of Guadalete. According to legend, Tariq addresses his men. At the moment when the two armies meet hand to hand, you will see me, never doubt it, seeking out this Rodrigo, tyrant of his people, challenging him to combat, if God is willing. In the epic battle between Muslim and Christian armies, Tariq emerges as a folk hero, leading his people to a new land. The Islamic Empire holds most of the peninsula by 732. They call their new land Al-Andalus. In the following decades, the marketplaces of Al-Andalus reflect a turbulent melting pot of cultures and allegiances. The Berber and Arab settlers must share their new land with its Christian and Jewish people. Jews and Christians may worship freely without fear of persecution, but they must submit to Islamic authority and pay a tax in exchange for this protection. Ironically, it is the undercurrents of political and religious tensions from within the Muslim community that will plague the leaders of Al-Andalus. The Berbers, long treated as lower-class citizens, begin to revolt against the Arab aristocracy. In the chaos that follows, a figure appears. A fugitive prince, fleeing the bloody coup of his royal family back in the Islamic capital of Damascus. His name is Abdul Rahman.
After many adventures, he managed to make his way from Syria to Egypt to North Africa. His mother was North African, so he had family connections there. And finally, he crossed over to Al-Andalus.
Abdul Rahman escapes the violence of Damascus, but his refuge of Al-Andalus is equally troubled, still mired in Berber revolts.
The Muslim society, he found, in Al-Andalus was also highly conflicted.
But Abdul Rahman finds support among the beleaguered townsfolk, longing for a strong leader. As the son of a Berber and an Arab, he is able to quell the tensions between these Muslim factions.
He tries to foment a rebellion, revolution.
Abdul Rahman unites the populace against their corrupt governor, Yusuf, at the Battle of Guadalquivir.
When Abdul Rahman I arrived in Al-Andalus, the governor and all of the people who were in power there at the time weren't particularly happy to see him. He directly challenged their authority, and what he did was systematically destroy them.
Victorious, Abdul Rahman declares himself emir, or leader, and makes the nearby Cordoba the capital of his new kingdom. Inspired by the magnificence of his family's palace in Damascus, Abdul Rahman orders the construction of a magnificent mosque. The The mosque's decorated mihrab is built to show the direction of Mecca for prayer, as well as to amplify the words of the prayer leader. Abdul Rahman's reign begins a new dynasty that will forever shape the future of Al-Andalus. Over the next century, Cordoba's own glory continues to grow as not only Muslims, but also Christians and Jews begin to develop an integrated culture that is unique to Al-Andalus. This thriving culture draws attention. Al-Andalus, once a mere outpost in the larger Islamic empire, becomes a lively center of trade. Viking ships from the North Sea, as well as merchants from the new Islamic capital of Baghdad, bring an influx of goods and of people to Cordoba. One such person, a great musician named Zirab, travels from the cosmopolitan city of Baghdad to the far-flung Al-Andalus, bringing his many skills.
He brought, as a package, as it were, all of the newest fashions. Cooking, he revolutionized. Hairstyles, music, the way the aristocracy acted. And this was a culture that Muslim elite of Al-Andalus really looked up to.
The urban capital of Cordoba is a flourishing metropolis, but at the same time, all of Al-Andalus does not enjoy such peace. Miles from the central authority of Cordoba, in the northern borderland of Zaragoza, the peace between communities is more fragile. Many Christian Visigoths living in northern Al-Andalus convert to Islam in order to move up in Muslim society, but some find their conversion does not ensure fair treatment. The leaders of Cordoba are forced to establish an army as the northern converts begin to rebel. These civil wars divide the communities of Al-Andalus, threatening to tip the fragile balance between tolerance and violence.